Let them underestimate you. Work in silence. Stay focused on your path. And one day, my friend, one day, it will all be worth it. Hey, dog, look, just be grateful for the little stuff, man. I mean, growth is growth. You got better. You're 1% closer than where you were yesterday. Isn't that all we want? You don't need anyone else's permission to be happy or to pursue your passions or express yourself more or to live the life you've always dreamt of. The only permission you need is your own. And you have spent enough time waiting for someone else to give you what you crave. Whether that's love, acceptance, approval, the truth is everything you're looking for starts with you. Now, forget about your goals. Forget about your action plan. Wake up each day and do what's in your calendar. Don't think about anything else. If you just focus on that and fall in love with the journey, and every time you wake up, you go, I'm gonna win it. And every time you go to the gym, you say, I'm doing what nobody else is doing. And every time you meditate, you're saying, I'm becoming an unstoppable human being. And you reinforce these behaviors. You're self-regulating, and you follow the habits. And that's the key. You gotta stop being so hard on yourself and just realize that this is a marathon, not a sprint. But as long as you're getting better every day, mission accomplished. A man matures through early mornings, late nights, pain, losses, disrespect, disappointments, deep reflection, and moments of loneliness with just you. I believe that life is how you see it. If you decide it's bad and the world is traumatic and horrible, then it is. Whether you consciously know this or it's subconscious, you're trying to choose optimism. You're trying to choose offense. You're trying to choose win. Hold on to that and don't let anybody drag you into the alternative. Life is how you see it. Choose optimism and hope versus cynicism and fear. And what I began to realize is that the mind is the matrix in and of itself. Because I can tell you right now, today in this moment, I promise you, the matrix has you. This is water to a fish. Water is so ubiquitous it ceases to exist. Now we all have that same thing, and it's playing on us, and it's keeping us from becoming who we want to become. And that thing is our mindset. It's our belief system. It is so ever present. It is so ingrained into the fabric of who you are. And the way that you process data, you don't even notice it. You don't even know that it's real. And this is the thing that impacts your life. It is your inability to see that your mindset controls everything, that it is water in and of itself. Now, when I heard this from Shakespeare, I realized that one should become aware of the water. You can change everything. That you can go from a scared, lost kid to whomever you want to be. There's a lesson in this story. So many things are trying to come to you. So many doors are trying to open. But we're so attached to who we've been that we can't quite become all of who we're supposed to be. There becomes a time when you no longer fit in your own story. There's a new part 2 trying to be born for you, and it requires you to own every part of the past, but own every part of the possibility. And on the other side of that, the diamonds that will drop out of your mouth, the diamonds that will come birthing from your soul, the seeds that will be planted, and the harvest that will grow. You will be barely recognizable, but better than that are the people around you. Because when you change, you is just one person. But when you become a force to be reckoned with, then your voice permeates. You are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more, unless you're looking in the mirror. Because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And that empty feeling you got, that hole in your chest, you only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you be. And yes, love is the answer. Love is the key. But if you can't love yourself, how can you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity is not good. What should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself. But how do I even do that? How many of you within the course of your lifetime have the capacity to be peaceful? The capacity to be peaceful, if you have the capacity to be peaceful, then you are already moving in the right direction. Because we as human beings naturally and innately have the capacity to be peaceful. Because when we are at peace with ourselves, we are experiencing our enlightened consciousness. Yes, so this is how transformation works. We have to let go of all the golden carrots that have been dackled in front of us of success, of accumulation, of being more. Because more isn't necessarily more. Do you understand that? Pain plus reflection equals progress. If you take away reflection out of that equation, all you're left with is pain. Right? If pain plus reflection equals progress and you take away reflection, all you're left with is pain. There's no progress. And for a lot of us, when we're experiencing pain, when we're experiencing stress, when we're experiencing pressure, when we're experiencing challenges, we forget to reflect. If you have something in your heart, go for it. Chase it. Give it all you've got and find out where it takes you. The opportunity right now to chase your dreams. You only got one life. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You're right back where you started. Chase those dreams, man. I try to tell that to every kid I ever meet. Chase your dreams. Nothing's too crazy. You believe it, make them believe it. We're really quick to forget that the day we're living today is a day we dreamed of 10 years ago. But there's a part of your life that is exactly the life that you wanted. And when you forget that, you lose out on recognizing you're already living in the dream and that you already have the power to create that future dream because you've already done it once. Knock me down 19 times, I'm gonna get up 20. Tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna make it my mission to show you I can. I'm gonna fail, but I won't quit. I'm gonna lose, but eventually I will win. I'm insane when it comes to becoming the best version of myself. Only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances. Don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. The latest research in neuroscience says you can change your brain just by thinking. So then as you begin to think about a new possibility and your brain begins to fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, and you begin to plan your behaviors and you begin to review in your mind, mentally rehearse who you're going to be in your life. Now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's in fact a map to the future. Gotta build yourself into someone who is resilient enough and mentally tough enough and has the fortitude and the grit and the belief and all of the things required to push through these difficult times that most people aren't even willing to go through. There is nobody that you look up to that became that person without a tremendous amount of hardship. There's nobody that you look up to that became a successful, inspiration to you without going through a lot of pain. When you think of the stories and the people that inspire you, the reason they inspire you is because what they went through to get where they are, not because of just where they are. Everybody loves a hero. People line up for them, cheer them, scream their names, and years later they'll tell how they stood in the rain for hours just to get a glimpse of the one who taught them to hold on a second longer. I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride. Even though sometimes we have to be steady in and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams. Confidence isn't about everything going right. It's about trusting your ability to bounce back stronger. You've made it through every hard thing so far, so don't doubt your ability now. Confidence is a skill that you build one decision at a time, and it starts with trying. You try, you learn, you get better, you become more competent. And over time, confidence shows up easier because you earned it through action. The biggest breakthroughs happen when you're done. Done with shrinking, done with waiting, done with the version of you that plays small. In the endless murmur of judgment, true peace is born not from seeking approval, but from mastering the quiet art of walking alone, unwavering, toward your own truth. Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. The hard choices, what we most fear doing, asking, saying, these are very often exactly what we most need to do. You see people who do big things and you automatically say, that guy's so lucky, she's so lucky. You don't know that. You assuming that. Going to work every day for 20 years and grinding your ass off and then becoming a multi-millionaire, that's not luck. That's action and reaction. Quit using the word luck. Quit believing in luck. and start believing in work. Start believing in results that come from your actions. Stop telling your visions to other people because they're not going to see it. Why you keep imagining opening a business? Why you keep imagining graduating, getting a better job? Why you keep imagining buying a house? Why you keep imagining getting rich one day? Why you keep imagining that? Because God is talking to you. He's showing you something that he has to you. It's okay to be unbalanced for a while. It's okay. Don't be all this stuff people say you got to be balanced to be the best in the world at what you do. You have to be unbalanced to find every bit of ink and energy and strength that you have to pull it off. Then you get balanced once you become great. And it takes being obsessed where people think you're crazy. Let's go. Let's go. You got money, but do you got that dog? Yeah, you got money, you got privilege, but do you got that dog? You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is part of the process. People who never fail, never try. You have to fail. You gotta get it wrong to get it right. Music. When God gives you a dream, and I believe that we all have a dream, God has given each one of us something that's beyond us and hope and aspiration that makes us look beyond. And sometimes the dream is so big, it scares us. But it should inspire us to believe that we can only do it with God's help. The dream is your dream. And sometimes we make a mistake of wanting to share our dreams with everybody. Dreams can get you in trouble. You have dream busters. There's people who don't have a dream and they would try and bring down your dream. God gave your dream to you. Everything that God gives you, God intends for you to achieve and accomplish. Don't have time to regret. We move on because we are acceptable for what we are, not who we think we should be. I'm accepted in myself by what I am, but not as I think I should be. Because that's a lie. I'm a sinner. I'm an old sinner. I've done some bad things. I've done some good things. So, you just forgive yourself and move on. These people that you're comparing yourself to, you don't really know. You see their shiny outside, but you don't see the reality of their life. People have hard lives, and the ideal that you're observing that makes you jealous and resentful is in large part an illusion that's created by your own mind. Don't give up. Don't let the world get you down. And when it does get you down, get up and write what you want out of your life and don't stop. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no vacation. You get up every day, you look in that mirror and you tell that mirror, I'm a bad mother. In one way or another, I'm going to make it happen today. Guess what? If you keep writing it down, after a while, the power of the pen, you'll believe it. If you don't have what you want, stop telling yourself the story because you don't have the money, you don't have the time. That's fool. It's because you haven't committed yourself, or you will burn your boats. If you want to take the island, burn your boats. You will take the army because people, when they're going to either die or succeed, tend to succeed. Here's the truth. This is the reality. Nobody's going to believe in you until you've already done it. Nobody's going to come and celebrate you until you've already done it. Just stand. You keep standing. No matter how rough the sea, you keep standing. And I'm not talking about just water. You keep standing, no leader, but you don't give up. Don't allow the difficult and challenging times to demoralize you. He said, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. And I'm saying, in your hands, you have ideas. You have been given something to bring to the universe that was not here before you showed up. Do a little bit more work, and a little bit more work, the results are going to come. More and more people are going to believe. Nobody believes in you because you haven't done anything. That's the reality. This is the day that you let go of that hurt and release that pain forever. Your tears have served the ground for far too well. It's time for you to practice that smile, Dave. It's time for that smile to no longer be a stranger. And it's time for you to let go of the things that are stripping your heart. If this happens, you can't heal by going back to the hurt. You can't receive your future by holding on to your past. So stop pressing replay on the things that need to be deleted from your life.
He had this beautiful quote, and it read, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." But I took that to heart. I believe there's time for resting at the end. That time is not now. To have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never ever rest in the middle. When people can't get up in the morning, I'm gonna tell you why. Because they can predict the feeling of everything that's going to happen in their life. And their body's resigned to the familiar. It says, oh, another mundane day. But remember when you were a kid and you were going on a field trip? What happened then? You were up and dressed and ready to go before your parents were up because you knew something unexpected was going to happen. That's how we should live our lives, waking up with the understanding to expect the unexpected. And something unusual should happen in our life as a result of our efforts. It doesn't matter what is your level of intelligence, what is your level of capability, introvert, extrovert, this, that, doesn't matter. Do you have the courage and commitment to make the possibility into your reality? Music. Where have you been? Where have you been up to this point? You look at your life, you look at what you produce. Is it giving you what you want? Are you living on purpose? Are you living your dream? Are you acting on your ideas? The most important conversation you ever have is the one you have with yourself. You wake up with it, you walk around with it, eventually you act on it.
The antidote to despair is action. The prescription for radical success is action. The difference between you and the person living their dreams that you're watching is simply the amount of action. What the world has experienced in the last 5 to 6 months is such an extreme test of tolerance and our ability to be resilient and ability to overcome fear that if anyone feels that they have not held it together, they shouldn't judge you. It's very wonderful to see a mountain and to want to climb it and put your flag on top of it. It is very wonderful to want to create your own mountain so that you can then climb it and put your flag on top of it. But it is also wonderful to know why you are doing that or why you are compelled to climb mountains in the first place. And you might discover that everyone values mountains, which you actually love to see. You know, we all really need to understand that failure and failing is crucial to growth. It's absolutely fundamentally crucial. It's like a part of you has to be defeated in order to be reborn in a stronger way. Is that the first thing that fear does is it should hopefully connect you to wanting to build up the skills to deal with that fear. A lot of our responses are we freeze, we get stuck, or we run away. We run away and we try and avoid these issues, or we bury ourselves and we try and forget about. And so our responses to fear, what we don't realize, create more fear. Life means to evolve. And if you're not evolving through small incremental changes that build up over time to create a large change, then you're probably dead. And that shouldn't really be a goal of anyone. Put your head down and do the training and take the pain, and eventually it's going to pay off. How will you be the man, the woman you've always known yourself to be? But there's a calling on your life that you don't get to shake. And it's only yours. No one else has the same calling as you. And so when you begin to look at people, look at someone as a model of who you can be by taking a piece of who they are, adding it to the uniqueness of who you are, and then understanding what's the divine assignment on your life. What do you need to do more of? Who do you need to be more of? What do you need to evict from your behavior? Why do we fear the darkness? Because it's unknown. Why do we fear what's beyond our solar system? Because we don't know. It's when we don't know that we're in fear. We have to withstand strenuous and difficult things. There's something really powerful about failing and about figuring out how to harness that energy into fuel inside of you to just push you. It's really hard. It's crazy to me that we remain in a state of unknowingness in our own lives and emotions because we feel scared of actually getting intimate with our fear. We get scared of being present and close to our fear, and that's why we try and put fear to the back of our minds. We try and run away from it. If you can get to the point where you can say, well, I've already pushed through something uncomfortable,
or I've already done something that I didn't think that I was able to do, didn't have the skills to do, didn't have the confidence to even try, but yet circumstances intervened and I was forced to. I've already done these. Proof of concept is already there. So what reason do I have to believe that it's not going to work again? Looking back at our successes and not just appreciating them, but really recognizing that the new challenges, in fact, are old dragons you've already slain. There's a point there where everything that you've been and every person and every characteristic that you've been that doesn't serve you, you need to confront it and you need to say, thank you for getting me to this point. But in order for me to get there, I have to leave you here. So if you walk alone for a while, and you will, share your vision with someone and they won't get it. They just won't get it. They won't get your vision because your vision was given to you. And I don't want to get to the end of my days and said, I kept some. Your greatest sleep comes in a combination, I'm complete and I'm ready. Why am I here? If you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why? So if you're not in a place where you're in love with life or in love with yourself or practicing diminishing your emotional reactions to certain people or conditions in your life, and you're living in anger or hostility or judgment or fear, and you want a loving relationship, there is no magnetic field for you to draw that to you. And in fact, if you say to me, well, it's that person or that circumstance that's caused me to feel this way, then I would say, you mean that person or that circumstance is controlling the way you feel and the way you think. And anything that controls the way we feel and the way we think, we are victims to, right? So most people are unconsciously responding to the conditions in their environment, experiencing emotions that are derived from the hormones of stress. Those emotions cause us to feel separate from our dreams. They heighten our senses, so we can't see them. It doesn't exist. The threat or the danger puts us in emergency mode, and we can think positively about the relationship we want. We could send the signal out into the field. We could have pictures. We could remind ourselves of what it is. But if you're not drawing the experience back to you, then you will be, as a victim, more vulnerable to the conditions in your environment, whatever large or small. And this is the insight. Many people think that they lack motivation when what they really lack is clarity. They think that they need to get more motivated, that they need willpower in order to execute on a habit. If I just felt like writing, if I just felt like meditating, if I felt like working out, then I would do it. But in fact, they don't have a plan for it. So they wake up each day thinking, I wonder if I'll feel motivated to write today. I wonder if I'll feel motivated to work out today. But instead, you can take the decision out of it by explicitly stating when, where, and how long we'll implement the habit. Life is short. It's going by a gazillion miles an hour. We got one shot at this. We might as well squeeze every bit of juice out of life we possibly can. Winners win when no one else is watching. How many foul shots do you think Michael Jordan took when no one else was in the gym? You're doing the work when no one else is watching. When you soar, let them admire you. Let them envy you. In fact, be the inspiration to pull some people with you. Can you go to your mistakes? Can you go to your weaknesses, right? Can you go to other people's mistakes and weaknesses? Some people, because of the ego barrier, can't do them. It's the process, essentially, of saying, what am I like? Everybody has strengths and everybody has weaknesses. The weaknesses are the other side of the strengths. Life is one big mind game. Then you're playing it with yourself. Tranquility is the new luxury. And we are most true to our best selves when we're tranquil, peaceful, and serene.
Because I'm not naturally gifted. I don't have any natural talents. And all of us are born as this lump of jelly that can't hold its own head up. And we all learn to do things. And it's that ability to specialize that makes us great. And the things that you choose to put your time and energy into, those are going to be the things that allow you to accomplish something. But all of that is a choice. You're not going to think your way to passion. You can't think your way to finding something that you feel in your heart. It doesn't work that way. You got to feel your way into it. It's inside of you. Do you understand? The economy is going to change no matter what you want it to do. The weather is going to change. Relationships are going to change. Everything in life is always changing. We don't have to work on change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. So if you want to make real progress, then you really got to look at your life in a different way. You got to say, I got to take control of this process and not just hope it's going to work out like people do who make a resolution. You have to go dark. What I mean by that is you have to be quiet in your mind. Get away from people. We love being around people. We love talking. We love parties. We love all that. It's okay to be alone. It's also okay to be unhappy. It's okay to be unhappy sometimes, man. It's okay to say, you know what, man, I'm fucked up. So you got to go to the truth first. Who are you? Get really accountable and say, okay, who am I? What's the truth about me? Get to that dark place in your mind. Figure out, it may take months, may take years. Figure out your purpose. Figure out what you want to be in life. And then from there, okay, I have my purpose. It may take a long time. No one knows their purpose because it's too loud. Find your purpose from there. All right, you got to start planning. People love the planning phase because it's very comfortable. Then from the planning phase, you got to go to execution. So the execution phase where we all hate, because that's where the real work begins. And that's when the failure happens, and the failure and the failure. When you live for a lifetime, not just your life cycle, but a lifetime, you live for the legacy. I'm writing my legacy now. You won't sweat the small stuff anymore. You won't get caught up in gossip. You won't get caught up in living inside worry. You might worry, but worry does not have permission to take up real estate in your body. So, for example, if you're going to treat yourself properly, which you should, you have to treat yourself as an iterated process across time properly. So you today, you tomorrow, you next week, you next month. But the right place to start is with the things that are within your local control. And there's some humility in that. It certainly has nothing to do with instantaneous self-gratification or selfish. You teach your body emotionally what the future will feel like before it's made manifest. That means you can't wait for your relationship to feel love. You have to reverse that battleship and understand feeling love is going to be the magnet. And if you can hold the vision of your future, a clear intention with a coherent brain, organize signals into the field, and you could actually crack this thing open and practice getting so present in the moment that you're not anticipating the next moment or trying to predict the future. And you're no longer romancing the emotions of your past. You can find that sweet spot of the generous present moment. The familiar past is the known emotionally. The predictable future is the habituation of autopilot being unconscious and programmed. Those are both known. There's only one place where the unknown exists. That's the present moment. To those of us who are living, we have an obligation to live our lives to the absolute fullest. Life is one big tug of war. And you don't win that tug of war by pushing. You have to pull. And a lot of times you have to pull yourself through life. This morning, I did not want to get up. So I had to pull my ass out of bed. But guess what? The more and more I got into that run, each step into that run, I was trying to gain more confidence. But to gain that confidence, you have to be willing to pull yourself out of it. Pull yourself out of a funk. Pull yourself out of whatever life is throwing at you to gain that confidence. By the time the run was over, I was like, you up. I once again beat your ass. Got to be willing to find the confidence, stay in the fight, stay in the war, stay in the battle of your mind. And so I've been intrigued with, can you be committed to the process of what you do without being emotionally attached to the result of what you do? Because a lot of people can be committed to the process of what they do if the results don't change. But the moment the result or the outcome changes of what they're chasing, they shut it down and they quit simply because the result changed. So can we be committed to the process of what we do, but not emotionally to the result of what we do? Understanding every day I get up and give everything I got for everything I'm a part of simply because this is who I am. Like the only thing I need every day of my life is 86,400 seconds. That's it. Like I don't need some reward. Like I don't need, the only thing I need is breath in my body, and I'm flat out gonna get it. But remember that the moments when life tells you yes aren't the ones that define you. The moments that really matter are the moments when life tells you no. That's what I want to focus on today. When life tells you no, ask yourself honestly, what am I capable of? And once you know the answer, Don't be afraid to let everyone else know it too. Find a way to keep things in perspective. That doesn't make the painful moments any less painful, but it does mean you don't have to live forever in the pain. You don't have to live forever in that no. Because if you know what you're capable of, if you're always prepared and you keep things in perspective, then life has a way of turning a no into a yes. Betray your destiny and see how long it takes you to be drowning in a storm. It'll happen immediately. And of course it will, because what's calling you to be your best is exactly the thing that's pushing you forward to manifest yourself most fully in the world. It's what you need. If you run away from that, the boat's gonna start to rock very, very quickly. Well, what does that mean? Well, what else will come out of chaos? You know, if you fall apart and then you put yourself back together, what is it that comes back out? Well, at least you were in better shape than you were before. You know, and then maybe you do that 20 times in your life or 50 times and you do it voluntarily. That's not my problem. The problem is when adversity struck, they didn't know how to respond. In other words, when adversity strikes, for some reason, people think they rise to the occasion. You don't rise to the occasion. You revert back to your training, meaning your core, your essence, who you are as a person. When adversity and opposition strike, you can't turn into the beast. You already got to be the beast. So it's a very brief life, and whatever is of paramount importance to this life must happen at the earliest. Not day after tomorrow, isn't it? It must be today. So the life process doesn't wait. You need to understand your life is just a certain combination of time and energy. Energy we can manage, time you cannot manage. So a lot of you are trying to find inspiration and motivation with a depressed mindset. You're depressed because you're not doing it with yourself. You don't find inspiration by not living in the grip of life. You need to live in the grip of life to find inspiration. Put challenges in front of yourself. When you put a challenge in front of yourself and you attack it, that's when you find inspiration. Trying to be 10% better than you were last. Quitting guarantees to fail. Once you quit, it rules out any chance of succeeding. The mere waking up every day, putting the next foot in front of the next foot, at least keeps you in the game. The more you walk away from accountability, the weaker you become. Find yourself in the grip of life. You can't find yourself by doing nothing. Excellence is not a concept foreign to us. Excellence is in our DNA, because where we come from, what we represent, is far, far stronger than anything we have done. Now, when you think about, holy, my job as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as an athlete, as a speaker, as whatever you want to be, you've got to get so good at that thing that when people see you do it, you make them experience the most potent human emotion, and that is awe. To get that good is a terrifying journey of self-discovery and confronting who you really are. Because you cannot make change until you acknowledge where you're actually at. This is always going to be the sticking point. And a lot of people, they'll quit because it got hard, or just because something isn't coming to them right away, they'll let up a little bit. Kobe, he's known for saying something that was quite profound. He said, you have to get on what you love, what you do every day. You have to love what you do every day, because those days that are hard, those days that suck, that's where the magic in. You go do it and you get your work in anyway, because that's where you're going to find out who you are. That's where things are going to continue to happen. And you have to just love putting in the daily work, because that's another token in the bank, if you will. Showing up, striving towards your goal. When people get the challenges, they stop. It's not just going to come to you but you have to just stick with it. You have to really, really believe in what you're doing, and you have to have faith that it's going to work out. But you got to keep putting the work in, because if you don't, it's not going to come to you. It's going to fall in your lap. And sometimes when you know that, all right, I'm going through it right now, this is tough, let's just take an inch forward today. That'll be better than going backward. You don't want to go backward. But I think sometimes just knowing that it's going to be a challenge, I think that's a good thing to know. We know, okay, this is my goal. Boy, it's going to be a lot of obstacles in there. So let me get in shape. Let me get in shape with my mind and my body to be able to navigate to get to where I need to get to. Well, you come into the world alone and you die alone, my friend. And you got to be on this journey of growth for yourself. Can't be contingent on another person. And I think a lot of people who are in pain or looking, for some, grounding,
often look to that other. If I date that person, then I'm going to be okay. It's never the case. Like, you've got to be okay with yourself in order to attract that person, into your life to begin with. I don't know how you can compel that in somebody. They've got to figure that out for themselves. Thinking of myself as the person who's just good enough to recognize that other people are better, stop me, and now start thinking relentlessly about acquiring your skills. That's it. Like, whatever, be inspired by people that are better than you, great. That's amazing. But don't sit there and lament that we are just so existentially in crisis all the time. And I just wonder if this life wasn't meant to be full of love and joy and happiness. I just think we're getting it a little bit wrong. So life is harm. None of us get out of here unscathed. It is harm. I'm not a Pollyanna minimalist on the things that cause us suffering. If you don't fix yourself with limited identities, if you do not compare yourself with anything, if you explore, and that seed, if you want this tree to grow to its less thing, that's why I said not the fruit, the root. If you count the fruits, maybe that tree is bearing more fruit than this one. That's not the point. You nurture the root, the fullest possible nurture. If you give to the root what it has to become, it'll become. A blade of grass cannot become a tree. But is it not wonderful? So I think success is a funny thing, which is we all seem to pursue it, but we don't know how to measure it or actually how to define it. So how do you pursue something that you can't measure? I think we must all stop measuring promotions, salaries, and these things, but rather measure the momentum of your career. Does my career have momentum? Can I see it moving in the right direction? Can I see it gathering moss? Can I see that it's becoming easier for me to keep the momentum? It's becoming easier for me to grow the size of this thing. It's requiring less effort. That's the thing we need to measure. That's the thing that we need to be cognizant of, which is the momentum of our careers, not just the markers that we think define our success. We snap, we react at the drop of a hat just because we're out of balance. People who have a balanced life know how to handle pressure. People whose lives are not balanced sink under pressure. I know from living that if you quit whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you quit, whatever you were trying to accomplish can never happen. There's not even a remote possibility. If you quit, there is no chance of it popping back up again, coming back later. Quitting is guaranteed failure. Only those that can see the invisible can do the impossible. You have to be able to see what doesn't exist in order to be able to pull off or achieve what in most people's minds seems to be impossible. Only those that can see the invisible, being able to see what's not there. What is your vision? What is your idea? What was that God-sent dream? And so whatever the volcano is, you have the capacity to take that volcano on, the capacity to jump in it and find your true identity. Here's another thing that keep a lot of people from taking on the volcanoes and jumping into the challenges that they're confronted with. The fear of making mistakes or not feeling good enough. Guess what? You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. Guy said this, and it's true, is that the person who's never made a mistake hasn't done anything. Success and failure are generally slow processes, either slowly building things up or gradually tearing them down. And that's why I say you've got to pay attention. You have to watch. You have to watch every single second, because those seconds, they turn into minutes, and minutes turn into hours, and hours turn into days, and days turn into years. Maybe we are going through something. It doesn't change who I am. What I'm going through does not change who I am. And you're going to make some mistakes. If you want to do something out here, you're going to fall flat on your face. You're going to be criticized when you come out into the arena called life. You're going to feel awkward and stupid and dumb sometimes. It goes with the territory. Have to be relentless. You have to never let off the gas. Never stop. Never quit. Never allow anyone to talk you out of the dream, the vision, and ideas that God has sent you. That second
that just went by, that counted. And so did that second. And so did that one. And in those precious seconds, you were either building or you were decaying. You were either gaining ground or you were losing ground in that second. Like, I believe in life, you got two separate people. You got champions, right? And they go through things in life that are self-inflicted. They bring it upon themselves. They get through it. They say, man, I got through it. And then you got warriors, right? They walk outside. The wind hits them, knocks them down. They pick up their stuff. They adjust and they get moving and they deal with the adversity that they didn't expect. They set their perspective right. And they figure out a way to embrace it and add value to every environment that they go into and every person's life that they come in contact with. Now, when you're trying, you're going to fail. But quitting, just stopping, that was the number one thing I understood. And then number two, you have to make sure that your dreams, your aspirations and goals are so big that not accomplishing them is not an option. God didn't bring you in this world to be average. God didn't bring you in this world to wake up and die one day and just be another person that lived and died and didn't do anything significant in this world. Let me say something. It's very important that you listen to this. Most of you, you're so consumed with everything that's going on in the world. This is the reason you haven't figured out your own life yet. You can never shine trying to sit on someone else's sun. You can never figure out who you are if you're consumed in everything that everybody else is and what they're doing and the moves that they're making. When you are struggling with what to do, who you are, what's your next move, you are in an identity crisis. You are struggling with just who you are. See, you have not discovered who you are in order to move you forward every single day. So you want to get better. You want to self-improve. Stop looking for a shortcut and go find your alarm clock and find your discipline and find your guts and your passion and your drive and find your will. And then you will find your freedom. So a lot of people, if you've never made any major blunders, made some major mistakes, taken some serious risks, you haven't started living yet. You don't call that living, not rocking the boat. Going through life quietly, tiptoeing, safely,